Jesus. Okay, so this is one that I've been trying to do for a while, and it's going to be a shorter episode. But for some dumb reason, I've just been procrastinating on making this because people won't shut up. I'm caught up in the Sonic Kirby argument and all that, I guess. But yeah, this will be a shorter video because there really isn't too much lore on the Waddle Dees. Now, for a normal Kirby player, you might not think, well, there's no lore on Waddle Dees at all. First of all, one thing I can say is either King Dedede named himself after the Waddle Dees, or he named the Waddle Dees after himself, which is much more likely that way. You don't name yourself after another creature. That doesn't make any sense. Anyway. But they're clearly related. They're Dedede's army. Waddle Dees can carry a variety of items, mostly seen with parasols and spears, but they've also had balloons, and bows, mostly in Kirby's Epic Yarn and other places. Yeah. So, there really isn't too much to talk about in the games. They're seen in very random places. They're barely ever hostile. They're usually standing there or walking. Sometimes can be hostile when equipped with weapons, but they don't really seem to be doing anything. They don't, unless they're in King Dedede's castle in like the first few Kirby games, they've just been randomly assorted, wandering around, doing nothing. But now here's where Kirby Right Back At Ya comes in. You see, first of all, if you haven't seen it, refer to my Why Kirby Right Back At Ya is canon video, and then come back here. Well, it just provides so much more lore for things that don't have much of anything. For example, Waddle Dees in Kirby Right Back At Ya. Ignore my theory. For some reason, I heard something wrong or misinterpreted something or just made something up and pulled it and I made it up entirely on my own because I'm stupid. But Waddle Dees, there's nothing to suggest that Waddle Dees were created by Nightmare. I don't know where I got that from, but I did. If there is, in fact, and I'm stupid for thinking I'm stupid, go ahead and tell me. But I don't think so. I thought I heard something in one of the episodes and it was like, talk about that. Let's just get to the point. Waddle Dees are made to serve a master. A master that not only that they don't do anything on their own. They find a master, they serve their master, do anything they're told. Of course, still with nourishment and food and stuff. They still need their life, their necessities. I don't think clothes, though. Maybe they're wearing shoes. Maybe those are shoes. I don't think so. I really don't think so. And if so, I don't want any. The Kirby fan art is bad enough. Don't bring Waddle Dee into this. Waddle Dees are usually seen in yellow and orange, but when they're helpers, they're seen more in red. I just thought that would be notable. So, when Waddle Dees no longer have a master and no longer have anything in the episode of Kirby Right Back At Ya where this is talked about and explored, they just sit and they watch the ocean. They do nothing, just waiting for nothing, just doing nothing. Which I guess that's why so many Waddle Dees are just found around doing nothing. Oh yeah, some Waddle Dees also get mechanized and have rockets. Oh, and in Kirby Mass Attack they have bombs. But, you see, King Dedede hasn't been ordering them to do anything, because he hasn't been doing anything evil or any of that for a while. So yeah, that's why most of the Waddle Dees in Kirby are just doing nothing. Which does make me feel a little bit bad for them, but at the same time, not as bad for them, if that makes any sense. Feel bad that they just have nothing to do with their lives when they're not being commanded, but also feel a little less bad for killing them because that's the life they chose to live. They don't have a purpose without it. That's just what they do. They are not the citizens of Dreamland, though. This much is also obvious. The Cappies are, which I don't really. The Cappies are confusing outside of Kirby Right Back at Ya, because they wear mushroom hats, which doesn't seem to mean anything, because it's just a hat. I guess it's just a fashion accessory, and they're related to Wispy Woods. They're made of wood, and they appear to be based on clay figures from Japanese folklore. But this isn't about Cappies. But I just want to say that no, they're not the citizens of Dreamland. They're found all over the place, all over the different worlds, in tons of different areas. And now, let's talk about something else. Or actually, no, not yet. First, let's get into some of the interesting things about Waddle Dee. So if we're talking about, I said that they require food and stuff, but they don't have a mouth, right? Well, you might have seen this already, but for those who haven't, let's see it. Ignore the Bandicam logo.
See? No mouth. Waddle Dees can't eat because there ain't no place to shovel in food. But sire, every living creature needs nourishment. Let's see if he eats this cookie. No way! It absorbed the cookie.
Okay, that's not really true.
It's munching all right. I know it flosses. That's weird.
Okay, so they are mostly comedy characters, King Dedede and Escargoon. So don't take everything they say with a grain of salt. Don't take it for literal. They didn't absorb it. It went through. So there's just like a layer. I don't know why this happened this way, but it is, and it makes them more interesting and unique. And still but really it doesn't mean much, because there's plenty of things in games that don't have visible mouths but still do, and no one questions them. Waddle Dees, I don't know. That's actually a part of their lore now. So they do have teeth and a mouth, but it's underneath a layer of skin that things can just kind of slide through, I guess, like that. Yeah. That. And now on to the weirdest part of this all. This cutscene confuses the mess out of me. So this is Waddle Dee, a friendly Waddle Dee. Picks up a shard. Dark Matter's there. This is the only Waddle Dee in this game, by the way, because that would get confusing having a good Waddle Dee and then enemies be Waddle Dees. Gets possessed, and look what happens. He becomes a Waddle Doo. For a split. Obviously. Yeah. So, does that mean that all Waddle Doos are Waddle Dees possessed by dark matter? Or is this just a simple reference because, oh, it's funny because Waddle Dee gets possessed by dark matter. There's a Waddle Dee version that has like one eye. Dark matter has one eye, so it's like a funny reference. Or is this like legit lore? I really can't tell. This would put a hole in a little small hole, not a big, major, crazy hole, in the Kirby Right Back at Ya's canon thing, because there's a Waddle Doo. He's definitely not dark matter. But then there's also Gooey, who is dark matter and good, but he has no brain, basically. Like, Waddle Doo, and he just is a normal person. He doesn't show any signs of being some kind of dark entity in a Waddle Dee. And why do Waddle Doos talk? Why does Waddle Doo talk if Waddle Dee doesn't? Well, Waddle Dee does talk in the games eventually. Oh yeah, and now let's talk about some of the other more specific Waddle Dees. Obviously, we got this one right here, which most people believe became Bandana Dee. Really, there's no hard evidence to this, but it's just a nice thought. Personally, no, everyone wants to think this because, oh, no, it's not just that the Waddle Dee is just gone forever. It's that he's been with us all this time. Personally, I think it gives the opposite effect. It means there's even less original Waddle Dees in the world, and they're all just mindless ones that wander around. If having these is better, because now we've got 3 more important Waddle Dees. Bandana Dee, the Waddle Dee from Kirby 64, this one, and Sailor Waddle Dee. Not just Sailor Waddle Dee and Bandana Dee. So yeah, that just is really confusing. At first I just thought a funny reference, but Kirby lore is, we've already gone over this in the Magalore Tyranza video. Kirby lore should be taken very seriously. There's not often times when things is, oh, look, it's just a reference. Not often. At all. You shouldn't just look at it as, oh, it's just a reference. It doesn't mean anything. Yes, it does. Okay. Occasionally, yes, it is just a reference, but not often. Is this one of those occasional times? Literally have no clue. And what makes this even more confusing is Waddle Doos have an evolution. King Doo. Yes, that is a really retarded name to have for your final form. Where he's yellow, has a purple eye, more colors, and really, again, no lore on him. Just nothing about him is ever talked about. Oh yeah, and they shoot lasers from their eye, which is also something dark matter does. Does that connect them further? No. Hundreds of things can shoot lasers from their eyes. Tons of things. But considering the fact that dark matter makes up anything evil, does that mean that a Waddle Doo is an evil Waddle Dee? Really, this is getting really confusing for just Waddle Dees. And now let's talk about Bandana Dee and Sailor Waddle Dee. Sailor Waddle Dee is a confusing one because he might be canonically dead. He went down with the ship with Meta Knight and does not have wings when Meta Knight flew away. And so he might be dead. He was loyal to Meta Knight. He's a sailor, but there's really nothing else on him. Oh yeah, and he can talk. So that game is definitely canon. Definitely canon. So yeah, Waddle Dees do talk. And then Bandana Dee. Bandana Dee is King Dee's most loyal Waddle Dee. Not sure where the blue bandana came from. It does make him more unique, but I would have thought it would be more of like maybe a King Dedede hat that he would wear. But it just makes him nicer. And he wields a spear. He is started off as just a normal Waddle Dee that just is a little bit more tanky. He is very loyal, and King Dedede respects him. And even spared him before fighting Kirby, even though Bandana Dee still fought Kirby anyway. And later, Bandana Dee becomes one of Kirby's main allies, which just confuses things even more. Go watch Meteor's King Dedede and Waddle Dee video. It explains things better. And yeah. Waddle Dees aren't typically strong either. In many times they're seen just getting launched away, like by Tyranza. But hey, they're adorable. And that's what matters the most. That Waddle Dee is precious and should be protected at all costs. It's funny I say that while he's being stared at by that. There might be something I'm missing. Oh yeah, and just saying this because Waddle Dee also talks in that game, and so does Waddle Dee. Kirby Avalanche is not canon at all. Kirby cannot talk. Kirby has never talked. Kirby has only nodded yes or no and other things and said Poyo and other weird words like that. Kirby probably will never talk. Maybe in the future, But anytime Kirby's ever talked, it's been canon. Can't count Kirby talking in the Kirby's Dream Land manual as canon. It's a freaking manual. So yeah. Like I said, short video, don't really have anything else to say. See you next time.